That's what I said to you.
Where's the weed?
I'm working on it.
Bang! Bang! It's good! Bang! Bang!
Yo, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening, man? What's happening? What's happening, y'all boys? Man, we back. We back. We back. We back. We back. We back. We back, man. We back. We are back. We are back. We are back, bro. What's happening? What's happening, man? Yo, let me get the stream. Let me get the the screen looking back right. What's happening? What's happening, man? It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Hope everybody is having a wonderful, spectacular week, bro. You know, having a spectacular week. Yo, what's up? What's everybody up to? What's everybody up to? Any plans for the weekend? Yep, I'm looking forward to the weekend. I'm looking forward to the weekends. Always looking forward to the weekend, man. We're always looking forward to the weekend, man. I ain't even gonna lie, man. I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro. We always looking forward to the weekend, man. Man. So, this weekend, man, we in Miami with it. We in Miami with it this weekend. We in Miami with it this weekend, man. We vibing. We vibing in Miami. We got a couple of events in Miami to go to. Got a couple of business to handle, man. But what y'all got going on, man? What y'all got going on? Yo, jam-pack show tonight, man. We gonna run through it very quickly, man. We gonna run through it very quickly. Jam-pack. We gonna update. We gonna get some updates on the Diddy. The trial, the Diddy trial, the updates from today's jury selections. So we're gonna see what update they have from today's jury selection. We also gonna check out, man, Rihanna. She has announced her pregnancy. You know, a lot of people were speculating and everything like that. She has announced her pregnancy, so we're gonna tap into that. And then for sure, we are going to hit up some. We are gonna watch some webcam, some body cam videos. We're going to watch some body cam videos. Yo, I got some good ones, man. I have some good ones. So, but we're going to get right into it, man. We're going to get right into the content, man. We're going to get right into the content. We're going to get right into the content, man. This was an interesting one that I wanted to see with y'all, boys. So, let's watch this one right here.
Hey, are you Ross? I'm Tyler Duncan. I'm with Anderson County Sheriff's Office. This is Steve.
How you doing?
This is Ross Velarde, and for the last 8 years, he and his wife Amy have been living with a terrifying secret that these detectives are about to expose.
I got assigned the case about the homicide that happened in Pendleton in 2015. We'd like to talk to you.
Yo, hey, no cap, bro, no cap. If I open my mother freaking door and it's a detective, and he says, "Yo, Fritz, we are here to talk to you about a homicide that happened 2 years ago." What? Whoa.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Whoa, what? Like, what are we talking about? We have that to talk about, bro. I wasn't there. I didn't do it, bro. Why are we talking? Bro, red flags, bro. Red freaking flags. So, that's me. That's me.
His parents, Mike and Kathy, as well as Amy's grandmothers, Barbara and Violet, were brutally murdered inside their own home in 2015, leaving police with the grueling task of solving a
Yo, they were killed in their own home in 2015, bro. I gotta learn how to do that.
We want answers.
But unbeknownst to everyone, Ross and Amy were the killers all along.
Damn.
We're not
Bro, imagine, bro.
here because we think you did it or you might have did it. We know you did it. It's
Damn.
piling.
Yo, I would have been shitting bricks, bro. When the motherfucker said, bro, we not here because we think you did it or somebody told us you did it. It's because we know you did it, bro. Yo, the jig is up at that point, bro.
Up, Ross. You don't want to roll the dice on this, I'm telling you.
On November 1st, 2015, Mike and Kathy Scott, alongside their mothers, Barbara and Violet, were found brutally murdered in their trailer home. Everyone was found with similar injuries, a slashed throat and a gunshot wound to the head made after they died. They were also found with knife wounds on their hands, indicating that each victim had tried to fight back before being killed. There were even bloody handprints on the doors and walls, showing that someone had even tried to escape after they'd been stabbed. The terrifying scene inside the trailer home would go completely unnoticed for the entire day, until, according to Amy, she went to check up on her parents and found them lying dead inside their home.
According to Amy. Yo, and guys, I also gotta make a video. I gotta make a personal video for the Streamer University. Man, I see a lot of people applying to that shit, bro. Golly. Yo, is anybody gonna get in, bro? The whole streamer world is like on that, bro. Like, yo. But yeah, man, we gonna do that through. So stay tuned.
And at around 12:30 that day, Amy decided to call 911.
911 was location of emergency. Oh my God! I need somebody out here. What's going on? Oh God!
Yo, she is an actress, bro. Y'all hear those screams? Oh my God! Oh my God! Somebody please, bro. She an actor, bro. Yo, bro. Yo, she's straight acting.
You son of a bitch!
Yo.
There's four people in my mama's house. Who are these people that are in the house? It's my mom and my grandma and my granny and my stepdad.
When Anderson County Police arrived on the scene, they said it was one of...
So these are the people that she killed. It's my mom and my grandma and my granny and my step... Yo, they done killed 4 people, bro. They done killed like 4 people.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
When Anderson County Police arrived on the scene, they said it was one of the bloodiest scenes they'd ever been to. But something was off. Detectives noted no signs of forced entry and thought it couldn't have been a robbery as there were multiple valuable items left in plain sight inside the home. This made 2 things clear to detectives. Whoever was responsible was allowed inside the home before the acts, and that they only had one thing on their mind: murder.
Hey,
It seemed
yo, that's crazy. That reminds me of YMW Melly's song, man, "Murder on My Mind," bro. When he said that, bro, like that's why I was able to stay tuned with him and say it with him like I knew what he was about to say, but I really didn't know what he was about to say, but I felt like he was gonna say that, so I guess I was correct.
like this case had to have been committed by someone close to Mike and Kathy, but with insufficient evidence, the case slowly went cold, allowing Amy and Ross to get back on the streets and live their normal lives again for years to come. But police always had their suspicions about this case and were never comfortable letting it stagnate. Amy's Facebook page showed that she constantly had fights with Kathy and Mike over her children, often calling them narcissistic, emotionally abusive, and disrespectful.
Now, come on now. If you are posting online about your parents or about these people and then you happen to kill these people, of course you have to be smarter than that to know that they're going to look out. They're going to look at you as one of the suspects, bro. Come on now.
What's most disturbing was a video of Ross and Kathy's fighting found on Amy's page, where Ross says something that would come back to haunt him forever.
Why don't you have Grandma come out here real quick?
I don't think your grandma wants to deal with this trash.
Yeah, I'll show you. Stop. Yep. Here you go. Oh,
In addition to this eerie statement from Ross, police found something that seems damning. They discovered a photo Mike had sent to a coworker just 2 days before his death, a couple of $100 bills. And inside Amy and Ross's trailer was a neatly organized stack of $100 bills, exactly the same serial numbers as Mike's. At the time, this was all treated as circumstantial, but slowly more coincidences would begin to line up that gave police enough reason to suspect Amy.
Yo, honestly, I don't think the police believe in coincidental shit, bro.
And Ross as potential killers. So, in 2023, they reopened the case, nearly a decade after the event.
Yo, I didn't know that they can just reopen a case just because. That's interesting. Like, that's interesting for real. Because, bro, like, if you get away with something 10, 20 years ago and a freaking cop that was like, you know what, I'm about to just open up cold case and just try to see if I can solve these mother lovers. Like, bro, what the heck? Like, you could just do that, bro? Damn, bro.
Events that put an end to nearly an entire family. Detectives started by launching a series of interviews with Mike and Kathy's closest peers.
You know, though, they did really just extinct an entire generation. Bro, stepfather, mom, grandmother, bro, they extend a whole generation.
To try and get a better picture of Amy and Ross and see if they might have been responsible after all. They begin with Mike and Kathy's neighbor to learn about Amy's relationship with her mom and if he saw anything the day of the incident.
With the daughter, got angry with her and kept the children from Kathy.
So tell us about that.
It seemed that they really tried to help Amy a lot. And Mike and Kathy, they really took care of the kids. And it broke Kathy and Mike's heart. She just really missed the kids, and the two older ladies that lived there, they were used to the kids coming in and out.
You think Kathy was afraid at all of Amy and Ross?
No, she never expressed that. But it was always the talk of the area that Mike would go to flea markets and he would get some kind of video games that he collected. There was a good resale market for him, and that he would buy any old jewelry that had some gold in it. It was always a rumor that he kept a lot of cash and gold stuff around.
Not only did Mike collect jewelry and other rare memorabilia, but it was well known in the community that Mike always had a large sum of cash with him because he feared putting money into the banking system. This made Mike a large target, especially amongst those who knew him well.
I think you've got to be one sick puppy to go in there and kill two helpless old women. The thoughts that somebody came in and killed those people, I still have nightmares about that.
This tells detectives that the murder could have...
Red flags, bro. Yo, they just said that Mike, well, the stepfather that was killed, he is known for reselling items and having a large amount of cash, and they found cash in the safe. Of course, it's still circumstantial. Mike could have put it in their safe.
Been done for financial reasons, especially since this fact wasn't a secret at all. Couple this with the fact that Mike's money was currently sitting safely inside Ross and Amy's safe at home. A picture is starting to form of what might have actually happened that night. But still, nothing is certain at all, and police next head to Roxy Voorhees, an ex-employee of Amy and Ross's, who worked at their pet grooming business during the months leading up to the crime. Roxy had spoken to Amy almost every day for months before the incident, so if anyone had some information to give, it'd be her. And they were exactly right. What they found was so sinister, it blew the case wide open.
Ross had made a joke and said, do you want me to... It was a joke at the time. Right. Then later I was like, holy, I'm glad I didn't say yeah.
It's Amy, right? What was your job there?
A bather. And I was learning in the process of grooming.
When you worked for the shop, you said they were just getting started, so they weren't very successful yet.
They appeared that they were fine.
Okay.
But then I would hear arguments of them, and a lot of it was money related. When I started working for her, I seen Kathy and Mike at the grooming shop. I was in the back grooming, so I didn't hear everything that was going on, but it was something to do with money.
Okay.
Throughout working there, she'd always tell me about how she was treated growing up and all of that.
What kind of stuff would she say about how she was treated?
She told me that she was always a daddy's girl, and she said her dad he was working on a car and it crushed him, and he was placed in the hospital. And her mom decided to pull the plug. She always hated her mom for that.
Detectives learned that their grooming business wasn't as successful as they claimed it was. Based on bank records collected by police, Amy and Ross's proven income in 2013 was $25,622. However, in 2014, Ross spent $14,200 on a Ram truck, $5,700 on a Mustang, $10,000 on a Harley FXE, and another $5,000 on a Harley XL. Close to $35,000 on luxury purchases, but an income of just $25,000. With these poor financial decisions, the couple needed money, and they needed it badly. In 2014, their business fell short, making just over $3,000 for the entire year. Things were bad, and they were on the brink of bankruptcy. So when the cops found $67,000 in cash hidden in their home, they knew something seriously strange was going on. Ross claims that he'd been saving the money for years, but detectives don't buy it at all. They're certain that, at a minimum, Ross and Amy had to have stolen from the house on the day of the murders.
Yep.
But to some extent, this was all known about 8 years ago, and it's still all circumstantial. For all the cops knew, Amy could have noticed the dead bodies in the trailer and grabbed the cash out of desperation before calling the police. So there had to be something that set this investigation apart from the one back in 2015. However, this case would take a complete 180 after detectives would find their most blatant, crucial piece of evidence yet. When going through all the CCTV cameras throughout the town on the day of the murders, police found footage of Ross walking out of a gas station that night. Nothing is suspect at first, until you look a little closer. The shoes he's wearing are Asics Gel Speedstar 5s, a model whose sole design just so happens to perfectly match the bloody footprints that were found inside the trailer. This
got his ass. Bro, are criminals? Like, okay. Just like everyone is not meant to be a streamer, or I guess, yes, everybody can be a streamer, but not everybody is going to be successful at streaming, and not everybody is going to be successful at basketball, football, make it to the NBA, make it to the NFL. Bro, not everybody could be a successful criminal.
Was even confirmed by the shoe company themselves, and the pattern is unique to this specific model, making...
Yo, have these guys never seen a single criminal movie before? Like, you know, after you have committed a crime, bro, throw everything away, burn everything, burn it all, bro, burn it all, bro, burn your shoes, bro. I would even burn my freaking, I would even burn my fucking fingerprints off of goddamn fingers, bro. That's how determined and how you gotta put, like, you have to be all in, bro. You cannot be half in committing a crime. Like, bro, you can't be half in committing a crime, bro. Like, you got to be all in, bro.
It clear to detectives that Ross Velarde is a cold-blooded killer. All the evidence had come together. The abundance of cash in Ross and Amy's home, Mike's $100 bills in Ross's safe, identical shoes to the killer, and an ugly past with Mike and Kathy. Police now believe they have everything they need to charge Ross and Amy with the murders. So, on December 11th, 2023, they decide to confront Ross and Amy at their new home to finally uncover the truth about that night once and for all.
Hey, are you Ross? I'm Tyler Duncan. I'm with Anderson County Sheriff's Office. This is Steve.
How you doing?
Run, nigga. Run, nigga.
No, God!
Run, nigga.
No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Exactly how I feel, bro.
How's it going?
I got assigned the case about the homicide that happened in Pendleton in 2015.
Okay.
Is Amy here?
She is.
So since she's the one that called 911, I think you were there also. We'd like to talk to you. If you want to come on out, we'll talk to you, and then we can talk to her. Can you describe, I guess, your relationship with Mike and Kathy?
I had a good relationship with Kathy. My relationship with Mike was really great, actually. It kind of turned sideways a little bit July 4th.
So I think y'all had got married that year, is that right?
Correct.
In 2015?
Yes, October 24th.
The 24th. That would have been, what, about a week or so before?
Yep. The last time that I saw Mike and Kathy was before Amy and I left to come down that Halloween. We had just gotten back from my mom and dad's. She went to knock on the back door, but the back door kind of just like was already cracked open or something like that. And that's when she apparently found the scene that she found. She went bolting back out of the house. I think she called 911 before she called me, if I remember correctly.
So you didn't go over to the other trailer?
No.
Or to Mike and Kathy's trailer?
Correct. I never went in that trailer that day.
So after you last seen them, you never went in their place again?
Correct. Correct. Yeah.
The detectives are baiting Ross into a trap, as they know
like they asking you these detailed questions. You should already know what's up. You should already know what's up, bro.
based on the footprints that Ross did without a doubt step into the house on the night of the murders. Later on, they'll be able to confront Ross about these blatant lies in hopes they can shock him into a complete confession.
There was a couple of things that kind of were red flags, but I don't know if they have anything to do with this or not. Mike bought and sold a lot of items, and some of the people that he was buying from were pretty shady sometimes. So that's another kind of red flag that I had as I was trying to just replay like events leading up to the homicide.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait, first of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
Really, bro? Really? Really? Okay. Let's rock with it.
Should I have seen something?
You're just starting out with this. What do you, if you were us, what would you do? What do you think happened there, Ross?
He's the first gentleman that's asked me that. TV shows that I watch always say, follow the money. And you find out where the real motives are.
Ross is unknowingly digging himself into an even deeper hole. When the money is traced, it leads right back to his and Amy's pockets. But there's only so much Ross can do. The police aren't telling him that he's their main suspect, so all he can do is keep on lying, devastatingly unaware that they've already unraveled his entire scheme.
They destroyed our business. From January to when this happened, I made just shy of $100,000 with our mobile grooming business. As soon as this happened, with all the media coverage, all of that went away because of this.
And you said you had a large amount of money in your single wide. Is that where the money came from?
The money that was in our single wide in my safe, about $80,000, that was literally the life savings between Amy and myself.
The detectives know Ross is lying through his teeth, but for the sake of having a civil conversation with Amy, they'll hold off on confronting and accusing Ross until after their talk with Amy.
Just shovel the bullshit out of that front seat right now so Amy can get in. He's the victim, you know.
Oh, I got that very quickly. But follow the money.
Follow the money.
You could tell that he's...
Yeah, I saw him.
And every time he's talking, he can't look at you in the face.
I know. You got a tiger by the tail here, though, buddy. Don't think you don't. This is a career case, let me tell you.
Your grandmother, and then obviously Mr. Scott and his mom. What do you remember? What can you help us with? Where should we look?
Yeah, me and my therapist talk about that a lot. Obviously, you got to know finding people doesn't really leave you in the right state of mind. Can do things to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And then everything that ensued. I mean, honestly, I can barely remember the funerals.
Ross, tell us a little bit about like the relationship between, like, I guess y'all and the family. Something happened?
We got into it around 4th of July or something with Mike, but he wasn't a nice person at all. Because I told my mom, look, I don't like it. My kids can't come over there until we straighten some stuff out.
So at the time of the murders, you and your mom were back talking, everything was kind of getting patched up?
Me and my mother was not a horrible person. She was prickly.
She always hated her mom.
So can you tell us a little bit about that weekend when were you gone, when you got home and you found the bodies, or what happened?
He brought his mom, my mother-in-law, to do Halloween. We went down there, we spent the weekend.
What day did y'all leave to go down?
Friday night.
Friday night.
I drove myself quite like crazy for about a couple of years there. And I've chosen to step away, and I've got to be healthy, and I've got kids, and I've got a life to live, and if somebody else dropped the ball on it, it's not on me anymore.
Okay. Well, if we just ask Ross a couple more things and we'll be out of here.
Now that Amy has been spoken to as well, detectives are ready to drop the ball on Ross and let him know that they don't suspect him of the murders. They know he did it.
A couple more things and we're going to get out of here, okay? There was something that had come up. You remember owning like a red pair of shoes?
Red pair of shoes?
ASIC Speedstar shoes.
Don't recall.
Gotcha. These ASIC Speedstar shoes.
Yeah, okay, I remember those shoes.
What happened to the shoes?
That's a good question, because I have no idea.
This is from crime scene photos, and these are confirmed to be ASIC Speedstar shoes.
Okay.
Inside, and they have blood droplets on them. And interestingly enough, you're at the Quick Trip wearing those shoes the night of the murders.
Okay.
So if you never went in the house, I'm just interested to know how they ended up in the house.
I have no idea how those shoes would have had any kind of blood on them. I mean, obviously, I was wearing them at a Quick Trip on the 31st.
Well, and they never found the clothes either that you were wearing.
That hoodie?
Mm-hmm.
Let me think here.
If y'all left on Halloween afternoon, but you're on video there, the timeline doesn't add up. The fact that your shoes are inside of the house in blood, that's a big problem.
Again, I don't know where the shoes are at the moment, and I don't remember whatever happened to those particular shoes. If something were to have happened that I had done, it would be stupid for me to wear them into the house and then wear them after that, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They were never found. So it's almost like you got rid of them.
Nigga, you stupid. You did walk around with them. That's how they identified them.
I highly doubt I got rid of them then, but, I mean...
Here's the bottom line, okay? Mm-hmm. So we know what happened, and we're about to prove it.
Okay.
So the opportunity for you is now. If you want to look out for yourself, is to really just to tell us what happened. If this was something that Amy put you up to doing, because obviously you have the skill set to go in here and do this, and y'all did benefit from the murders, okay, because you got a lot of money. We've been through your financials, okay?
We did not get a lot of money from this.
Y'all were struggling all up until the murders. The money found in your safe, there's money photos from Mike's computer that match the same serial numbers as the money that was found in the safe. So it's not savings. That's money that was found inside of Mike and Kathy's house that Mike was saving, and y'all took it after you killed him. Okay?
Absolutely.
And I'm telling you right now, we're gonna prove it. If you think she's not gonna crack on you when we do, then you're mistaken.
We're not here because we think you did it or you might have did it. We know you did it. Okay, we're just here as a courtesy. I'm just telling you, Ross, financially at the time, things were really bad. We got text messages between you and Amy saying you don't have the money a few weeks before. And you said it the best, follow the money. We did that. We led right into your single wide. It's piling up, Ross. You don't want to roll the dice on this, I'm telling you. It's not going to come up pretty.
If, for instance, Amy and I decided to, or if I decided to take a deal,
right,
mine is going to be better than Amy's because I came to the trough first, right?
Right.
So prison time, no matter what. Amy, prison time, no matter what. My 3 kids in here, they grew up without a father and a mother. Granted, my mother would be more than willing to take them. I understand that.
We're not the ones who put you on this predicament. Now you're gonna have to deal with the consequences.
10, 20 years in prison. That's best case minimum scenario, I would imagine, right?
It's better than the rest of your life or death, isn't it?
I mean, it might as well be one of those two. By the time I get out, my kids aren't going to know who the f I am. I mean, the other option is I probably need to talk to a lawyer at this juncture here.
All right, Ross.
You're free to
I
go.
respect that.
Okay.
All right?
Yep.
4 days after these interviews, Amy and Ross were arrested in Pendleton, South Carolina, and were charged with the 4 brutal murders of Kathy Scott, Mike Scott, Barbara Scott, and Violet Taylor. The 2 are being held in prison without bond while they're tried in court. The couple's next court appearance is set for later this year, where they'll meet their true fate in the hands of a judge.
When I say to be a
20
criminal. I mean, everybody's not meant to be a criminal. This nigga just fucking snitched on his ass, on himself. He self-snitched on him. The craziest thing ever. Snitched on himself. Snitched on himself.
Because you don't believe you can win on your own. I think you believe you are everything your father said you were. And I think you believe you don't have what it takes to be a legitimate president. And I think you wouldn't believe any of that. You wouldn't be afraid. You wouldn't doubt yourself if it weren't for Defiance.
Craziest shit ever.
What we did to you in Defiance, what I did to you.
25 is in full swing. And if, despite your best intentions, your inbox already looks like
Fucking how the Island Boys lost everything. I haven't heard from the Island Boys in a while. Like they talk to me. No, I haven't seen the Island Boys in a while. What do you think they're doing now? They probably fell off on TikTok like me. They probably fell off, bro. Oh my God, he had a kid. Holy shit, he had a kid.
Moment in time, the Island Boys looked vaguely capable of having a sustainable career.
No, they did not. I'm going to hard disagree from the start. They blew up for their, I'm an island boy. An island boy.
After all, their initial buzz skyrocketed them to the top of everyone's social media feed, pulling in 222 million views on their YouTube videos and over 2 billion views on TikTok alone. But as their true colors began to show, it quickly became clear that their time in the spotlight was running out. From one incident to the other, it seemed like any moment could be their last in the limelight, leading Jack Doherty of all people being the one who predicted their future.
All right, Island Boys, what are we about to do?
We're about to feed the homeless right now. Yes, sir. Come on, let's get.
Oh my God, was it off-brand Mr. Beast video?
Hey, look, they're getting fed right now.
As now, less than a year on from that little jibe being sent their way, they're now at rock bottom, and one of them has literally wound up in the gutter.
He's getting evicted. He hasn't paid a bill. Even his mom would tell me before.
And listen, that's another problem on why you don't use.
He's brought Alex's credit.
It's not using, but it's also like the Island Boys in general live lavishly on like a moderately high income from their blow up. Motherfuckers will get big on TikTok, make 100 grand and spend 80 and not even think about paying taxes. So serious. When I started out on social media, bro, and I was making nothing, right? When I finally started making money, I was like, I can't spend this, right? Because I'm going to blow it. Because I was looking at all these other people that would move to LA, blow 30K a fucking month living in a mansion and, you know, getting food, driving nice cars, leasing fucking smart, like, sports vehicles, and then fucking go broke, fall off, and then have to move home. And now they don't even have the benefit of having that moment of, you know, clout because they haven't profited any money. If anything, they're all in a worse situation than they were when they started. And now they're moving back home with a dead social media platform and nothing to show for it.
Down so much while we're in the middle of looking for a house, and it's not even his fault, it's his brother's fault because his brother hasn't paid his car in 4 months, and we could show you guys the voicemails.
Chaos at court as a man accused of killing a sheriff's deputy a day after his son was shot by a police officer asked to be released on bail. I lay out the horrific chain of events out of Ohio and where the case could be heading.
Are you familiar with acts of someone that is not in their right mind?
But not sure how. Riverside has got you covered. Bird?
We have the latest from federal court in the Sean Combs criminal case. Status of jury selection, what Diddy's going to be wearing, violation of a gag order, rejecting a plea offer. It's time to bring in our long crime of jury selection. Day 2 of jury selection in one of the most high-profile trials in recent memory. Sean Diddy Combs is facing federal charges of racketeering and sex trafficking, and right now, his team and federal prosecutors are trying to figure out which New Yorkers will serve on a jury to determine his guilt or innocence. Who may be ultimately selected to decide one of the most impactful criminal trials in recent years? We're going to break down the big moments that happened today. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Hey everybody, this is another law and crime legal alert. So lawsuits, I'm going to ask questions and check your section. Number down challenges for a high-powered lawyer Combs to answer back in court today alongside his huge team of high-powered lawyers for day 2 of jury selection. The name of the game is to go through over 100 potential jurors in the next few days, whittle that number down to about 45 or so, and then the defense and prosecution will use strikes and challenges to get that number down to 12 jurors and 6 alternates. And by the way, in case this is a shocker, this is no easy task for these potential jurors, right? Sitting on one of the most impactful, heavily covered criminal trials in years, currently scheduled for 8 weeks. So we're going to cover what has happened today in the process, who may be selected ultimately for this jury. And this comes as not only Combs has just added another lawyer to his team, while the prosecution objected to another one sitting with him. We're going to talk about that. But this also comes as Combs reportedly said yesterday, he's a little nervous. And that's understandable because why? He's facing 5 federal charges. The disgraced music mogul is accused of running a criminal enterprise that was allegedly focused on his sexual needs and desires, hiring sex workers, procuring drugs and baby oil, setting up hotel rooms for elaborate sex parties called freak-offs. And we expect multiple alleged victims, including Combs' ex-girlfriend Cassandra Ventura, to testify that they felt forced or coerced to participate in these sexual episodes. Racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, transportation to engage in prostitution. These are the charges. Potentially life in prison if he's convicted. The stakes couldn't be higher. Now, Combs has been behind bars at the MDC, the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, since his arrest last fall. He was denied bail multiple times. Sidebar has been closely following this case even before his arrest. Okay, we were covering when he was first hit with the civil lawsuits, but we covered it every step of the way, right? The raids on his properties in Miami and Los Angeles, his arrest, his indictment, the multiple superseding indictments, and all of the pretrial motions along the way. And we will continue to follow this case for you every step of the way, including when opening statements begin, currently scheduled for next week. We're going to cover every second of this. Now, to talk about what happened today, day 2 of jury selection, to talk about today's proceedings, I want to bring in former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani to talk more about this. Nima, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. Love having you on to talk about the Sean Combs case. So first of all, the process has been running quite smoothly and efficiently. I mean, do you think they can select a jury this week with opening statements next week? When you told me this, when they told me that jury selection was only going to take a week, I said, no way, it's not going to be able to take a week. But you think it's possible, generally speaking? We'll get into more specifics about what happened today.
Jesse, first of all, love being on, and we're almost there. Next week, I do believe we are going to get a jury selected this week. And I think the reason we are, really there's 2 reasons. One, we're in federal court, and we know these federal judges like to move. They're really limited when it comes to what they perceive as for-cause challenges. If some of these potential jurors say, hey, I can be fair and impartial, that's good enough for most judges. And they'll say, you know what, counsel, you got to use your peremptory on them. The other reason I think we're moving quickly is because we're having judge voir dire as opposed to attorney voir dire. Attorneys can ask all sorts of questions because, look, let's be honest, Jesse, there's only one person in that courtroom that wants a fair and impartial jury, and that's Judge Subramanian. The lawyers, they're going to want jurors who are favorable for their case. I mean, that they're advocates. That's just the reality of it. So lawyers tend to be a little bit more
What did you say? What? They don't want fair and impartial? They want jurors on their side? Nima, what are you talking about?
Believe it or not, Jesse, advocates actually want to win. So, they'll ask questions, as you know, trying to get into their political beliefs. And really, we want to know, if you're prosecuting or defending a sexual assault case, what are your views on sexual assault? Do you believe it can be underreported? Do you believe it can be falsely reported? Is this rape? Is this regret? I mean, we know what the lawyers are getting after. So the judge obviously isn't going to get into all that. It's going to kind of stay within the boundaries of really what should be a for-cause challenge. And that's why I think the process is moving a lot faster than it would otherwise go.
So let's get into a little bit later on about preemptory challenges and how that's going to work. But right now, as these jurors were brought in for initial questionnaires last week where they filled out all the paperwork, answered questions, now there's individual questioning, and they can be stricken for cause. There's a legitimate reason they can't sit on the jury, whether it's a very unique particular hardship or they're showing some sort of bias. And I have to tell you, Nima, there was a little bit of trouble today, right? You had one prospective juror today who talked about hearing about the Combs case on CNN, admitted that they leaned in a negative light towards him having committed some crimes. That juror was excluded. You had another juror who admitted on the questionnaire, again, that all these prospective jurors had to fill out, that she was a victim of an attempted rape. Reportedly said the cops could have done a lot more. But this juror wrote on the questionnaire that P. Diddy has money and he could buy his way out. And when asked by the court, well, what did you mean by that? She apparently doubled down and said, just what I wrote. She was excused for cause. Another juror, who has a son that works in the DA's office of Rockland County, New York, conceded they aren't sure if they could be fair and can't promise they wouldn't be biased. Struck for cause. Another juror who admitted they would be biased for law enforcement, struck from this jury. Nima, I gotta say, this is what I anticipated would happen. Now, first of all, credit to these prospective jurors for being honest, or purportedly being honest, but I expected we would have a lot of people that would show a sense of bias in this case.
I think that's right, Jesse. First of all, in any case, there are a lot of people that just want to get off jury duty, right? They get that summons in the mail and they don't want to be there, especially for a 2-month trial. That's going to get a lot of press and not just attention here, international attention. Now, you have some stealth jurors that maybe want to get on this panel and write a book about it and go on the talk show circuit after this is all said and done. But most Americans aren't really excited to serve as jurors. So you'll get folks that will say anything to get off the panel. Now we're talking about a celebrity and we're talking about sexual assault. And we know that a lot of people have been victims of sexual assault or sexual abuse. So this may hit close to home and they might not be good jurors on this type of case. And like you said, they may be honest about their experience, not because they want to get off the panel, but because this may be triggering and they may have to relive through trauma that they themselves have experienced or a loved one has experienced because of sexual assault. So those jurors are also getting off. But like you said, this is the type of case that is going to stir up a lot of emotions from a lot of different folks, whether it's race, whether it's law enforcement, whether it's gender and sexual violence, you name it, this case has it.
And look, these are jurors who have to expect to not only know who Sean Combs is, but they're probably been exposed in the last year and a half to material about him. So whether it's the lawsuits, the CNN video, things like that, they've already formed an opinion about it. So aside from the jurors who, by the way, who mentioned or exhibit signs of bias, you also had other jurors who have conflicts or have medical issues that struck them from the jury too. For example, you had one female juror who expressed she has these stomach issues, needs multiple bathroom breaks, struck from the jury. That's not going to work when you have prolonged testimony and maybe not the ability to have multiple bathroom breaks and is going to be distracted. But we have another issue, another juror, actually, to be more specific, that highlights a key issue in this case. The footage from the LA Intercontinental Hotel of Combs purportedly beating up Cassandra Ventura back in 2016. Key piece of evidence in this case. Combs issued an apology on Instagram when a portion of that video was published by CNN last year. This was before his arrest. And again, we believe this is going to be a key piece of evidence for the prosecution to establish that Ventura, who we believe is victim 1 in this case, was trying to escape a freak-off, that there was a sex worker in the hotel room, i.e., this is evidence of sex trafficking. At least that's the argument to be put forward by the prosecution. Well, what happened? You got a juror today who reportedly told the court, yeah, they saw the video, and despite this juror saying they could be fair in court, saying that in the court today, on the questionnaire that this juror filled out, apparently the juror wrote they were unsure if they could be fair. But the juror said they would listen to the court's instructions on this. Nonetheless, the juror was excluded. But Nima, this tape, so problematic for jury selection, right?
No question, because like you said, typically when you walk into that courtroom, you haven't seen the evidence in the case, but this is not your ordinary case. Everyone has heard about Sean Combs. Everyone has seen that video. It's disturbing. It is offensive. Like you said, he's holding his towel with one hand. He's beating her as she's trying to leave. how can you not form an opinion? So you have jurors that generally have views on these issues, then they're bringing their preconceived beliefs about the case because they've all seen the video. And this is one of those unicorn type cases that everyone has already heard about. And there's video evidence, and I expect there to be even more video evidence in the case. So whether it's a case like this or Luigi Mangione, we've all seen the video, Brian Koberger with the bathroom selfie. The jurors that walk into that courtroom, they're going to have prejudged the evidence. So if they say that they can't be fair and impartial either in their questionnaire or an open court, it may be hard for the lawyers to rehabilitate them, right? Because if you're a lawyer in the case and you think it's a bad juror for the other side, you're going to want to try to make them seem fair and impartial to force the other side to use one of their peremptories, not get them excused for cause, because of course, cause challenges are unlimited.
And we're going to talk about preemptory. I promise. Anybody who's interested in it, we're going to get to in a second. But as a former prosecutor, I wonder if the prosecution is not happy about that tape being published by CNN. You know, could you imagine if jurors saw it for the very first time at trial? And by the way, the defense tried in pretrial motions to get that tape or a version of that tape or any footage stricken. They didn't want the jurors to see that footage, but a version is going to be shown to them, or multiple versions in different camera angles is going to be shown. But as a prosecutor, do you think that they are like, oh my gosh, I wish that tape didn't come in, we're having trouble finding a jury? Or because you're so cynical about jury selection, Nima, do you think the prosecution's like, we're happy that tape came out, and I hope we get jurors who have formed an opinion, they're just not admitting it during jury selection?
I think it's the latter. I get it why you want jurors who haven't seen the video, but it's such a disturbing video. And just you and I have talked about it. If you guys are watching, go back and watch Jesse's videos when this came out in May of last year. I mean, it's such a powerful video. It was such a powerful video that after denying these allegations for months and months and months, from November 2023 when Cassie filed their lawsuit, Diddy's homes are raided in March. Only in May, when this video comes out, Diddy issues an apology. That's how powerful the video is. So the cynic in me, if I'm the prosecution, I like to overwhelm the defense, and I like the jurors to basically be on my side before the defense even presents their case. I want them to have made up their minds. And when you have a powerful video like this, if I'm the prosecution, I like it out there. I know it can potentially taint the jury pool, and this is me as an advocate, not for someone who's looking for, you know, the fair and just result. The fair and just result is everyone walks in with a blank slate, right? They view only the evidence in the courtroom. But that's just not the reality in a high-profile case like this. That's why, Jesse, there's always the courtroom, but there's the court of public opinion, and the latter does matter.
You know, and you said it very well. We don't know what other videos might be shown. If you take the defense's perspective, I mean, they made an argument in a pretrial motion that the warrants were invalid in this case because they said if the judge who authorized these warrants, if the magistrate court authorized this warrant, saw all the video footage, they would say, wait a minute, I don't see anything illegal here. I think this is all consensual activity, whatever these sex acts that were captured on video. So it'll be interesting to see what is shown and which side it ultimately benefits. But going back to jury selection today, so you had another juror who apparently read an article about the jury selection process going home from the courthouse yesterday. More specifically, who got excluded from jury service. They were looking to see who got excluded from jury service. Now, the judge today admonished this person, saying they weren't supposed to do that. And apparently, the reporting indicates this might have been a lawyer or someone who was trained as a lawyer. If true, you definitely know you shouldn't do this. The court struck this juror, but Nima, it raises a larger question of how tough is it going to be to make sure whoever's impaneled on this jury doesn't talk about the case, doesn't research the case, isn't affected by the media coverage of it, or who's outside the courthouse. That's why I feel like you need so many alternates.
It's really a big problem, Jesse, and technology has just changed the game, right? Back in the day, you weren't getting all your news from your cell phone, right? You have to go home, you got to turn on the TV and watch the news. But we've seen it time and time again, and it's becoming an increasing problem where a juror is Googling about the case, they're on social media, and you're not supposed to bring in those outside facts and evidence into the courtroom. And like you said, a lawyer should absolutely know better. That's not what you're supposed to do. And that's how mistrials happen. So big issue right now. Now, how do you get around it? You sequester the jury. But again, people already don't want to serve as jurors. Now you got to take their cell phones, confiscate them, separate them from their loved ones for 2 months. It's really a big imposition and a burden. So if you're the judge, you're hoping the jurors follow your instructions, whether they're on the panel or potential jurors, so you don't have this problem. But it's a continuing problem because, of course, jurors have lives outside of that courtroom.
So, Nima, let's talk a little bit more about who made it through. So it's been reported that 19 prospective jurors made it through day one yesterday. And today you had other jurors who made it through. And by that, what I mean is, and to be clear, these are not necessarily jurors who are going to ultimately sit on the jury. They are making up that panel of 45 or so jurors who then both the prosecution and the defense will strike and get down to the number of 12 jurors and 6 alternates. Again, I'll get to that a little bit more. But who made it through today? So you had one juror who made it through that was a student of psychiatry, is at Mount Sinai in surgical pathology, served as an expert witness in medical malpractice cases, indicated his son was beat up and had his cell phone stolen while in college, and was told that the crime was committed by 3 young black men. Both sides agreed, and so did the court, not to strike this juror. You have another potential juror who made it through, someone who says they may be an elected officer to a union. His wife, according to him, was molested by a family member. And while he said he saw the CNN video, the Cassie video, and claimed that Diddy looked angry and hostile and entitled, he said he could be fair. You had another juror who claimed that he would lose 30% of his income if he had to serve on an 8-week trial, but indicated he could survive it. Also told the court that his wife is suing his landlord for repairs. It's important to know of any legal issues they may have. And also claimed that he has friends who have been assaulted. That person moving forward. Another potential juror is a security guard, has seen the Cassie tape, found it disturbing, but indicated could be fair. She was let in. We have a child neglect social worker coming in too. We have another juror who was let in over the prosecution's objection, by the way, who claimed that he had negative interactions with the police, including over stolen sneakers, claimed the police didn't look enough into it. Also said on another occasion an officer allegedly pushed him during a house party that was being shut down. So Nima, do you get a sense about what both sides want here in terms of jurors?
I do. Obviously, if you're the defense, you want strong-willed jurors. Ideally, you want someone who's a fan, someone who's skeptical of these types of allegations. This is a gross generalization, but the conventional wisdom in some of these sexual assault cases is you want older, conservative female jurors, people that would not put themselves in that situation. Those are the types of jurors, whether it's a Weinstein or a Cosby type case, might be skeptical of these allegations. I believe the victims, but there are some people when these types of allegations are raised years, sometimes decades later, they don't believe it, or they say, you know what, you decided to voluntarily, associate with a music mogul like Diddy. You were trying to further your career. You were getting paid. This wasn't something that was forced upon you. This wasn't someone that was coerced. This is not sex trafficking. You did the drugs voluntarily. So there's a certain type of profile that the defense lawyers are going to like. And obviously, if you're the prosecution, you don't want those types of jurors. You want people that are going to kind of go along and someone that's going to be more likely to believe the consistent testimony of what you believe. There's multiple victims telling the same story.
And Nima, just because somebody has experience with sexual assault or harassment, or has negative interactions with law enforcement, or has seen a piece of evidence in this case, does it make them automatically disqualified from serving? And that's interesting, right? That might be surprising to people.
Not necessarily. Like you said, if they can convince the court that they can be fair and impartial and compartmentalize and set that episode, set that case apart from this case, and decide the case solely based on the facts and evidence in this case, they're not going to be excused for cause. They're going to be at least on that initial panel.
Now, Nima, to be clear again, this is just the potential jury pool. Everyone I mentioned may not even end up being the actual jurors on this case. What can we expect from preemptory challenges, strikes, and also explain to our viewers what those are exactly?
So we're going through the cause challenge process. Those folks that can't be fair and impartial, or they have a hardship, a financial hardship, or a medical hardship that makes it difficult for them to serve 2 months plus deliberations. Often for these longer trials, you can essentially